So, just when you thought Star Wars couldn't get worse when it comes to a writer and creator out there like LESLYE HEADLAND, we're going to be talking about her and her overall approach to the Acolyte, what she had to say about the Star Wars fans, and specifically why she thinks this way about the general Star Wars fandom that has been raising their opinions and concerns over the direction of the Star Wars universe. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support, and without further ado, let's get right into the main subject here. So, for those of you that do not know LESLYE HEADLAND, this is somebody that I think everybody out there needs to know about. Now, the last phase of LESLYE HEADLAND was around the year 2019, where she was signing on for the Acolyte series in the beginning stages, and a lot of people caught wind of exactly who she was. Pretty much, guys, she is a heavily controversial writer in the Hollywood sphere because she's very radical in her beliefs. She doesn't really care about the Star Wars fans at the end of the day. She went from becoming basically a Star Wars fan from not being a Star Wars fan. And she lies a lot. And this is the truth. I mean, even at Star Wars Celebration, I don't know if you guys saw it, I do heavily suggest that you guys just type up LESLYE HEADLAND Star Wars Celebration 2023, and it's probably the most cringeworthy material that you could ever watch. And I'm being very blunt right now today, because when she walks out on that stage, it's almost like she's walking out on a fashion, situation. I don't know even how to put the words into this, but looking into the next thing here, alright, we have to actually go over what LESLYE talks about the Star Wars fans, what she talks about the Acolyte, and more. Now, with Kathleen Kennedy now focused completely on the survival of Indy 5, The Dial of Destiny, we also have LESLYE HEADLAND busy with the Acolyte that is due for release in 2024, that is getting ready for reshoots by this fall after it was wrapped filming. Recently, LESLYE HEADLAND was questioned about her series and the toxic fans, where she responded by stating the following: "I just think this day and age that we live in, fans like that just need to shut up. I mean, seriously, they aren't fans if they are demanding what the writers to do. Real fans are open for change and stay quiet and for something different than just George Lucas and his version of Star Wars. The fans that feel Lucas is the only answer to telling a proper story don't understand Star Wars truly. These fans that claim to be know-it-alls in the Star Wars sphere, or realm, she says, in the overall universe, can never answer me when I ask them about the High Republic. The great thing about this era is that it gives myself the freedom to explore how this point in time holds no burden to George Lucas, and we can tell all these stories that explore diversity, and had I done a story surrounding the Old Republic, we probably wouldn't have been able to actually have that freedom because of all these fans that act like they know everything of everything, and how nothing can be changed." Now, let me just take a step back here, guys, about what LESLYE HEADLAND is saying. So let's just go through something that's very important that gives you a better perspective on things. So basically, the reason why they created the High Republic is that it gives LESLYE and Kathy the true freedom to do whatever in the world that they want to do with Star Wars. Okay, we get that, we understand that, but the reasoning behind that overall drive is so they can promote diversity in a proper manner, because they knew if they did an Old Republic movie or TV show by Kathy and LESLYE, they would not be able to change a thing, because they knew they would get backlash from all the fans, for the most part, at least from the hardcore fans that really grew up with Star Wars, that really understand Star Wars through and through. And let me just be very real with you guys, it's quite depressing, and I mean literally depressing, to see that we have a writer like LESLYE HEADLAND on board of Lucasfilm, really downplaying the Star Wars fans, really kind of ridiculing them and making them as if they are insignificant, and I don't know where their approach comes from, but it's almost coming across like they want to create a new band of fans that just support this new version of Star Wars, and it really is beginning to feel almost like Palpatine's Order 66, where they're trying to wipe out these Star Wars fans that love the Star Wars universe, and they want, pretty much a rise in these other fans that support whatever they want to support. So the next thing that I do want to go over is this. And this is where things get even worse, is that she states, "So what better way to approach this than creating a new era right from a clean slate? It's something I admired from Rian Johnson and his original plans for his trilogy. I got the chance to speak to him recently, and we both agreed on everything I just talked about. We felt like two peas in a pod, creatively, and I hope to work with him someday on a Star Wars project, or perhaps season 2 of The Acolyte if we get this to become a smashing success." Leslie, let me say one thing about this. This is not going to be a success. Acolyte is going to be a 100% failure. I usually like to dub it the Hackolyte because it really is not true Star Wars. It's coming from a not so passionately driven soul. Now, these loud fans, though, she says, just need to keep quiet and seriously need to take a look at themselves in the mirror because they are too close-minded with the franchise and how everything needs to be George Lucas. Now, look, the reason why I call this show, and I have called it this before in the past, the Hackolyte, is, well, it's really not coming from a true fan. It's not. And if you guys watch that clip, I do heavily suggest that you guys look at this clip, please. It will really give you a different perspective on who Leslie really is. Type up Leslie Headland Star Wars Celebration 2023. You're gonna see it pop up. Her walkout on stage is so cringe. The way her head turns, the way she's walking, it's like she's acting like a fashion model on a walkway. And she even at one point seemingly fake cries at the middle point of that video, where she's talking about how Star Wars changed her life, blah, 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 blah. She cries, apparently, but there's no tears. And then she immediately goes back to not acting emotional. And this is coming from a person that never knew anything about Star Wars just a couple of years ago, who is now claiming to have grew up with Star Wars and really knew Star Wars in the EU. Yet whenever she's questioned about the EU, she can never answer a single question about the Old Republic, about some of the specific characters, you name it. So this is another prime example of Lucasfilm mishandling a hiring of a creator, which, by the way, is not creative at all, in my opinion. At least for Star Wars, she's not. Maybe she's creative in something else, kind of like how Rian Johnson is, and I will admit that. Rian Johnson at least has creativity with Knives Out, but I think that he was a horrible take for Star Wars. He was not fit for The Last Jedi. So, look, I mean, at the end of the day, I think Lucasfilm is going to learn their lesson with the Hackolyte, and with this actual series, I think that it really is going to become a prime example of The Last Jedi all over again. I really do believe this. It's going to be The Last Jedi 2.0 scenario in the Star Wars world. So, overall, guys, I'm very much intrigued to hear what you all have to say about this. I think everyone should partake below in the comments to discuss what they think about Leslie's take on the Star Wars fans. What you guys, by the way, think about that Leslie Headland video, go ahead and look it up. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.